Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, roasting in Tucson. We're roasting in the...
It was 112 yesterday. Give me a break.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want a cool snap, please.
Really? And it's been 90 here.
Oh, you poor baby.
And I'm telling you what, I don't think I'm cut out for Tucson temperatures, because 90 was getting to me. It was
nobody here is cut out for this either. It is stifling. It's like it takes your breath away.
That's awful.
But I guess it beats the alternative, though.
Yeah, I know. Really. Oh, goodness. Well, as you know, we have a great guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
Crows and Ravens, that we have so many people in the audience who have been asking about a show on that. And finally, we have a great expert. Rick is going to join us in just a few minutes. But before we bring him on, tell us what's going on.
Well, you talked to me earlier today about house numbers and phone numbers, and we were thinking about those. And I got to thinking about it. I'd mention it. We'll just kind of tiptoe around it today. Maybe others will want to jump in with us later.
Okay.
But our house number means a lot. Now, my house number becomes a 9. 9 is what we do for humanity at large, what we're doing to help others get on. And that's a perfect house number for me, for the business I'm in.
Yes.
So you start looking at house numbers, and sometimes the house numbers don't fit the people. But we have a way of fixing that. But we'll talk about that down the road. I'm not going to give away my secrets all at once. But it's, take a look, and just if you're interested in down the road, we can take a look at your house number, your phone numbers. They all have a big impact on who you are, what you are. We'll look at your birthday and see how they fit with one another. And sometimes you have to make a little bit of an adjustment so that you both work together. Because like a person in a one house, shall we say, that's for an independent soul, lives there alone. So if you've got a house full of people in a one house, you're going to have nothing but chaos.
Ooh.
So it's looking at how we put things like that together.
Yes, exactly. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And also, I know that you talked to Lon, our guest, a few weeks back,
right,
about changing his house number, because he really wasn't thrilled with the house that he and his wife Constance had moved into. So you gave him a hint as to what he could do to adjust the number, and we've got to get back to him and
definitely.
Yes, because it makes a lot of sense. Everything is a vibration. It's all got to be communicating.
It is
communicating in an off way. It's like a sour note that's playing all the time.
Well, if you take a look at our given name at birth, our first vowel, first consonant of our name says about who we are. But if we're dealing in a house that says everything is upside down compared to what our name says, we've got to fix it. Well, we can't very well change our names because it's on our Social Security, it's on everything. So, but we can do something about the other part. Okay. So we have alternative ways of fixing it.
Good.
So we're going to play with that a little bit in the future.
Good. Yeah, we may be doing an entire show about that if people are interested, and can help people adjust their house number with a little magic and the magic wand that you have that does that. So that would be great.
Every house has its own vibration by the number that's put on that house. And if your vibration is really great for what you do for a living, but it doesn't fit your house, there you are. It's like a cat in a bag. It's not going to fit very well. You're going to have issues. So we're going to help you fix it.
Yay. Okay. Well, that's good. So in order to do that, for people to participate, you would need their full name at birth.
Right.
And address.
And their house number.
Just the house number. Doesn't even need to have the street name.
No, it's the house number. It's the numbers that affect us. You know, if you think about it, the day we're born, that's a number, our date of birth. Mm-hmm. We walk out the door, they take us to a house that we're going to live in that has a number. Does it get along with the family or with us? Then all of a sudden they plug a social security number on us. And we've got number after number. We've got to get these things grouped together where they work on our behalf instead of having a tug of war.
That is great. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I want you to help me with mine, and then we're going to report back. We're going to find out who's interested, because I know a lot of people will be. Because we need all the help we can get these days, right? To have a better life.
I know I did, and I have. But it was wonderful when I found out how to make it work, and I couldn't believe when I came to Arizona. It just happens that the house I moved into is perfect for what I do. But the apartment I lived in before I moved into the house, different story.
Oh, so that one didn't work out so well. Uh-huh.
See?
Yes,
amazing.
It is.
You go backwards and look at houses that, like the house you were born in, the houses that you lived in as you were growing up, how they affected what you were doing or how you were living in that house,
right,
family-wise, and how things were going. And it makes you understand a lot of things that happen that you really couldn't figure out before.
That's
the how comes.
Yes.
That's what we're going to call it, the how comes.
Yeah. How come this happened? Okay. How come I was trapped, right?
That's right.
Now we know. Well, this is going to be great fun. But tonight is also going to be great fun.
Yes.
Not our guest. We have Rick DeGampert, who is a longtime journalist who spent 23 years as the entertainment writer for the Daytona Beach News Journal. He presents workshops and performs on sitar and Native American flutes at a variety of pagan festivals in the Southeast, including the Florida Pagan Gathering. He also presents lectures on metaphysical topics and performs music at non-pagan events, including Unitarian Universalist churches. Rick has studied Hindu sacred sound, shamanic drumming, goddess worship, Taoism, and more. His crow art has been displayed publicly around Florida as well, and you can visit him at rickdegampert.com or at mrcrowart.com. Mm-hmm. And he's here with us tonight, and we are so ready. Okay.
Hello, we are.
Welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a great day to talk about crows. So thank you.
And you've got a beautiful new book.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Crows and Ravens, there it is. Mystery, Myth, and Magic of Sacred Corvids. Yes, and we only have an hour together, so everybody go get the book, and you'll have even more information about these magical creatures. So what drew you to Crows and Ravens?
It started out in 1995. My heritage is French and Irish. So in 95, I got to go to Ireland for the first time. And in the heart of Dublin, in the General Post Office, there's a huge bronze statue of the mythic Irish warrior Cuchulainn. And I knew just very little about Irish mythology, even though I was a big fan of the poet William Butler Yeats. But anyway, on the Cuchulainn statue, in the myths about him, he's almost invincible, but he's dying from a battle wound. He ties himself up to a post so that he will not die laying down. And on his shoulder is a crow or a raven. Scholars say it could be either one, but that crow or raven is the Morrigan, the Irish battle goddess who shapeshifts into a crow. Now, I just barely knew about the Morrigan then, but I saw that and I'm like, what's going on with this crow or raven on Cuchulainn's shoulder? So that was the initial seed. And then when I got back to my home in Palm Coast, Florida, not the moment my plane touched down, but over the years, I just took more and more notice of the crows that were coming to my backyard. and I started throwing them crackers and tortilla chips. And I began to notice that, people say, how do you tell the difference between crows? They all look alike. If you watch them for a while at any length of time and you see the same one, you'll notice different behaviors. And in that first batch of crows, there was one alpha crow who was slightly or noticeably bigger than the others. So I named him Lord Valiant. There was another crow that I named Rockette because she had she must have been injured.
Oh.
When she walked, she kind of had a high kick with her leg.
Oh,
and there were other crows that I noticed different behaviors. So they started becoming different individual creatures to me. And I just started reading about it. But that was the seed. That was the seed.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yes. So you have your crow friends that visit you multiple times a day, and you feed them, you give them little treats.
Yes. They here where I am in Palm Coast, and I don't know how universal this is, but every spring the crows disappear. I've been in my current home for 5 years, and before that, I literally lived 3 miles up the road. So I had to move 5 years ago, and that's delayed my book by a year. But anyway, here, every spring, the crows disappear for a time, and then new crows seem to show up like 3 or 4 weeks later. I haven't figured out why. And like one year, the crows that would come by, they would get the crackers and they would fly over my back patio. I like, where are they going? Then I went outside, and they would almost always go to the roof of the house. And then the next year's crows, again, the behaviors were very different. So this spring, 5 or 6 crows come by, and I tell people in the book, and I tell people, if the crows say jump, I say how high. I take them food every time I hear them in the back. That's one useful tip if you want to establish communion with crows. If you hear them outside of your door, or if you're even in an urban environment. I live at the end of a cul-de-sac. There's woods behind me, but I'm in a suburb. But I take them crackers every time I hear them. So they trained me to bring them food.
Well, now let me ask you a question about leaving food, because as I mentioned before we got on the air, we have a lot of crows here. And one of my friends inspired me to start leaving food. And she said, well, they love walnuts, so leave walnuts out. So I went to one of the tables outside, and I left some walnuts and talked to the crows. Here's your walnuts. They never came and got them, and it really hurt my feelings.
Well,
they won't share your nuts.
And they just never touched them.
Well, my editor of my book, which came out on Llewellyn, my editor, Heather Green, at some point, it was. Did you hear that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, they're back. They still got some popcorn out there.
Oh.
There's popcorn out there for you. Come and get it. Okay. Anyway, yeah. My editor Heather, at some point, she emailed me. She said, Rick, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She said, I hear crows around my home all the time, and I put food out, but they don't come to the yard. It's very possible. Crows, they remember human faces. Yeah. Can you all hear that?
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Fabulous.
The technology is working.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
To do this. But anyway, they remember human faces. This has been scientifically documented. Experiments done by John Marsliff, this wonderful wildlife biologist who's written several with his partner, his colleague, Tony Angel. They've written these great books on crows. But anyway, they did experiments at the University of Washington that proved that crows will remember faces. They will especially remember faces of humans who have been kind to them and humans who have been aggressive towards them or harmful. So anyway, I theorized with Heather, said I can't get the crows to come. And I'm just theorizing that probably something happened in her yard or neighborhood. Not that she did it, but there's a very good chance that they remember some bad experience there, whether it was humans or whatever. And so they're avoiding it. And they do have that capability. And it gets weird because, again, that biologist John Marsliff proved this. It's not just the crows that somebody is aggressive to or kind to. They are able to communicate that to other people. Listen to me. I'm calling crows people.
Well, they're their own group. They are people to be.
Yes, and they're able to pass it down. It's been proven to generations. So if you're aggressive or kind to a certain crow, its offspring may also become aware of any aggression. So there's all that could be what's happened, and not, Patricia, that you were unkind to crows, but it could be something about the area, the place, that they sense some kind of danger or just ill will. But again, that's just a theory, but they do have that ability.
You couldn't have planned this any better if you tried.
No, they want to be part of the show. And
That's fabulous. That's great.
Yeah, this is absolutely great. Well, now they're known as magical creatures. They're known for this, and they have a lot of different interpretations as for even a dream symbol. So if a crow shows up in a dream, it can mean a multitude of things. So what do you find is accurate about their representation in symbolism?
Well, that's very interesting and a very good path of questioning and discussion, because I've read this about other writers who have written about crows, and it happened to me. There were people, when I said, I'm writing a book on crows, or they found out, there were people say, that's so cool. And then there were people that were saying, that's so creepy. Crows creep me out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I get it. I understand, because there is this mythology. I guess it's not really, it's part mythology, but again, it's part historical fact. And I write about this in the book. It seems that crows and ravens, they're omnivores. They will eat anything. So it's been proven historically. They would follow the armies in ancient Europe. And when there were battles and corpses on the battlefield after the battle, the crows and ravens would swoop down and feed on the corpses. So there's that aspect, because again, they will eat anything. They'll eat pizza, they'll eat corpses and whatever. So that has kind of built up across the centuries in the mythology of people. And we have this association with them with death. And again, I think that's a bit unfair because that's a part of life. So people who are afraid of crows or hesitant, so be it. But there's so much intelligence and these mythologies. The Native Americans in the Native Americans of the Pacific Northwest coast. I have a section of the book on them. Raven is a trickster figure. So, So Raven can be he can be very selfish. He's out to satisfy his own lust, his own greed. And what's interesting, and this is in my book too, the ancient Hebrews, there's a tale of a talking raven, not in the Old Testament of the Bible, but in some of these Jewish rabbinic writings from 1,500 years ago. There's just a marvelous tale of Noah's Ark, and there's a talking raven on there. And Noah says to the raven, go and see if the waters have receded, the flood waters. And the raven says, I'm not doing that. You want to get rid of me so you can be with my wife.
Oh, no.
I know. I had to read that 5 times. It's like, am I reading this correct? And so So even that far back, ravens and crows had this reputation of being tricksters. But in the Native American tales, they're looking out for themselves, but they end up accidentally benefiting mankind and humans. There's a famous tale of how Raven brought light into the world, and he's trying to steal the light that's kept in a box by this mean old man for himself, and he grabs it, but he drops it, and so the sun and moon and stars light up the earth, and it's more involved than that. But anyway, so the reason we have the sun and the stars is because Raven was greedy and wanted to have it to himself, but he was a bit inept with the thief. So those kind of tales and that kind of attitude to these birds crops up all over in different cultures. So they're not just do-gooders, and they're not just evil. They're the mythology is as complex as these birds' behaviors and intellects are.
And they can talk. I've seen videos of them saying words. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm still trying. I'll be honest. I'm still trying to get my head around that because they can, and there's different writers, different biologists have written about this. And I've just their normal quote unquote bird vocabulary. That's another thing, especially about crows. We think of the traditional caw, but their vocabulary, I've heard crows sound like a cat. The first time I heard a crow do a kitty cat sound, I thought there was a cat stuck up in the tree, and I was going to have to call the fire department, like in the cartoons or TV shows, because I said that cat. Then I finally looked up there, and it was a crow way up. It's going meow. So they have all these vocabularies, and sometimes it sounds very human-like. And I frankly, I don't know what to make of that. I'm still getting my head around their vocabulary. And it was only a couple of months ago I heard a new sound that I had not heard a crow make in my 15 years of just being around them. Now I'm trying to think of what that sound was. I wrote it down. But anyway, so yeah, they just have these marvelous vocabularies, and that's one way to forge a communion with these creatures. I'm not saying every time they make a sound you have to write it or document it, but if you do just kind of start noticing, there's a wake-up call behind my home in Palm Coast. There's woods, and then there's flat woods, and about 3 miles away there's another suburban neighborhood. Anyway, there's a rooster that lives way over there. Well, guess what? Most days I hear the crows wake me up before the rooster is going.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And it's always the crow. It's a 3-caw burst, and sometimes it's a slightly different pattern. But I think that's when they're calling their kind and saying, hey, let's come to Rick's. Breakfast is going to be served soon.
That's right. Buttered popcorn and chips. What more could you?
Yeah. So
I've heard that they'll eat eggs too.
Yes,
all kinds of things.
There was at first when I started feeding, I was like, well, what do I was very cautious about feeding them healthy stuff, stuff without too many additives, just salt, meal, flour, and canola oil, whatever, tortilla chips. And then the more I read, John Marsliff, again, the university biologist who proved that crows remember faces, he conducted an experiment on dead crow. He would never kill a crow, but when they found dead crows, anyway, they did a study, examining the contents of dead crows' stomachs, and they found out like 50 to 80% was human food. They're human food, so they will eat anything. And then there's another article that ran online of a crow, he's anesthetized, he's not dead, of a crow strapped into CAT scan, and the crow's about to go in to the CAT scan machine because they wanted to study their brain patterns, and that's how serious some of this research is on these animals. So yeah, wow. there's just so much to know about these birds.
Yeah, and there's so much we don't know. I'm sorry, PK, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds. That
does not bother me. I know when I was a kid and I saw that movie, it's like, oh boy, freaky.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think it slanders crows or ravens, because if there is a human corpse, like on the ancient battlefields, the battlefields of ancient Europe, they're going to feed. And that's part of this, whole pardon. I know the Disney folks would, freak out, but yeah, a crow pecking out the eyes of a corpse is part of that circle of life thing. So just to be brutally real about it.
Yeah. So. But it's, people like you who befriended them, and they come and visit you all the time. Right. I think of that as just such a gift.
Agree.
Yeah, it's such a relief from humans who are so annoying most of the time. And
do you know some of my friends?
And that's and I talk about that in the introduction to my book. For me, of course, my spiritual path is pagan. And so what is a pagan? Just the short form, we pagans see divinity manifested in nature. Most pagans believe there's a divine feminine as well as a divine masculine. And most pagans believe in some form of magic, meaning that this world is composed of energy. Even that desk we learn in 5th grade science is actually in motion, molecules, electrons, the entire universe is in motion, is energy. And so if we know that, the way I define magic is, to the Jehovah's Witnesses that come over to me, I'll show them a plant and I'll say, this is my religion. You put a seed in the earth, sunlight, rain, in 6 months, you're going to have food. That's magic. That's the magic of Gaia, the earth goddess, is how I personify her. Where was I going? Now I'm off on a tangent.
But I do have a comment that it's about crows and ravens. They understand exchange.
Well, so, and that's okay. Thank you, Patricia. That's where I was going. For me, and I think it's just self-evident that they are the creatures that I live 3 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. So sometimes when I go to the beach, I'll see dolphins out there, loping through the ocean. Gorillas and chimpanzees, I see them in a zoo. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, but crows and ravens, especially crows are more what I call human gregarious. Ravens will hang around people, but crows, I see as many crows when I go to my Target shopping center as not quite as many, but there will be crows out there on the lamppost waiting for somebody to drop a Snickers bar or whatever. But they are the creatures that most people will have contact with, whether you're living in a high rise in New York City, or in the French Quarter in New Orleans, in Palm Coast, or in Calcutta, India. They're on every continent except Antarctica. So it's this marvelous chance to have communion with these very intelligent creatures that to me are evident that there is more mystery in this world, in nature, however you want to define nature. I personify it as the goddess Gaia, that energy. It's a way for us humans to have a relationship with the magical and the mystical of this planet that we've been gifted to live upon. And
Right.
so right there in our backyards.
Yeah, right there. And again, what I see with crows and ravens is they understand exchange in a very holistic way. You give them food, they'll bring you a gift. So they bring you stuff, right? They bring you.
I am so jealous since the book came out and reading, researching the book and just hearing beforehand. But people have shared their crow stories with me at book signings or just in passing, and so many people and Patricia of crows they'll find little silver trinkets and they'll drop it to somebody. There's a little girl in Seattle that has like 100 pieces that she's been featured, that the crows bring her. She gives them food. They bring her shiny silver thing. I am so jelly of that little girl. And I have friends who say, oh, my uncle, when he was growing up, he had a pet crow that just hung out on the farm and would come and sit on Uncle Jehoshaphat's shoulder. And I'm like, what? And even the crows I've been feeding and seeing here, even though new ones seem to come in every spring, they're still a little skittish of me. When I go out to them, if they're on the lower branches, they'll typically fly up a couple of branches higher. They don't fly away, but so far they haven't come down and landed on my shoulder and said, hey, Rick, thanks for the popcorn.
Yeah.
So there's just there are a lot of people that have this wonderful relationships. And if you go on YouTube, it's just crazy. There's all these.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of the close relationships seem to develop from what I've seen when they've saved a baby crow that was injured or something like that. So then they have this, lifelong relationship with this crow. And even though they set the crow free, the crow comes back. And it's remarkable and just amazing. But, crows and ravens, for me, seem to have so many levels of mystery that we do not understand. And it horrifies me to think about putting a crow into a CAT scan machine. I wouldn't go in a CAT scan machine. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think that's
not willingly.
Well, I will say in defense of Professor John Marsliff, he is certainly a friend of crows. And I have no doubt that his research is done ethically and with all the best intentions, and maybe the pat answer to that is, if the average person understands the magical and scientific amazingly scientifically documented abilities that these birds have, we will wake up and realize that we're sharing this planet with these other creatures and that we don't hold dominion over them. They are not here for us.
Right.
They are a part of this whole biosphere of life on this planet. But you're right. I don't think I'll ever write a second book on crows, but I am still learning so much. It's just fascinating. And in my book, I focus on mainly three cultures, the ancient Celts, the ancient Norse, the Vikings, and the Native Americans, especially the Native Americans of the Pacific Northwest coast. All three of those cultures have very strong crows and raven traditions in their mythologies. But they're by no means alone. There's just so much crow and raven lore around the world, and history and science, and they pop up in historical accounts. And it's just I don't. For me, it's fun. It's very much fun to find out, and I'm finding out new stuff all the time. People will tell me about their crow encounters. It's like I never heard something like that, and so that's been a joy.
There's an area, but I'd been out in California and I was coming back to Tucson, and there's an area right outside of Phoenix on our way to Tucson, and all of a sudden it was like the sky was blackened. I have never seen so many crows in my entire life.
Wow.
The trees looked like they were dripping with them. I took a bunch of pictures of it, but it was just so mind-boggling to see so many. And it was like there were on everything, telephone wires on every side, every tree. But the one tree looked like a Christmas tree with nothing but ravens on it.
Again, I am so jealous. Wow. At my old place here in Florida, which was 3 miles up the road, the most crows I've ever seen at once. And again, that home, I was backed up by woods like my new home. So I probably would see like maybe 20 crows at a time sometimes. But a weird thing happened, and I relate this in the book. While I was writing the book, I had woke up kind of in that dreamy, hypnagogic state, and I had this vision of the washer at the ford. And that's from my Irish. My heritage is Irish and French, and the washer at the ford is a death omen in ancient Celtic mythology. If a warrior saw this woman, she could be beautiful or she could be old and elderly and quote unquote like a hag, and she would be washing clothes in a river or stream that were bloodied. And if a warrior saw that, that meant he was going to die in battle. So I woke up just kind of in that half sleep state, and there was that vision. I was looking at the washer and the ford. I'm like, and then when I went back to sleep, woke up, I was like, well, okay. It didn't freak me out. Not that I'm the bravest guy in the world, but when death comes, it's going to come. So I wasn't freaked out. And then so I thought, I need to brush up some on the washer and the ford legend. So I went online, found this beautiful art, the painting that Wiccan had drawn of the washer at the ford standing at the edge of a body of water. She has her hands out, and there's all these crows in the sky above her. It's like, oh, that's beautiful. Then about 2 months later, I happened to officiate at weddings. It's something I'm credentialed to do. So a friend asked me to officiate at their wedding here in Florida. So I went to the home before the wedding was about to start. I strolled down by the lake on this property. And what did I see? I saw the most, this is where I'm getting back to what you said, PK. I saw the most crows that I've ever seen in my life. They were above the lake, and immediately it made me think of this painting that I had seen at the washer at the ford. So it's like, okay, this is kind of a little creepy because these crows were swirling around in the sky, and it looked very much like that painting. And so that's four years ago, I think, 5. I'm still here. So, you know, was that a death omen? Friends have suggested, they said, well, maybe it was a type of ego death or transformation. You know, in the tarot cards, the death card is rarely, if ever, means physical death. It means great change.
Yes, exactly.
That's
it can also be about somebody else. It doesn't have to be about you, right?
Well, that's true too. That is very, very true.
Yeah, talking to someone else's impending doom. But yeah, and that's, again, I see that we don't really understand all the levels that crows operate on. I mean, it just seems like they have so many. I mean, from being able to not only imitate human language, but they know what they're saying. You know, so there's that. And then it just seems like I don't know if they were in ancient Egypt or not, but they have these powerful ways of moving between the dream world and this reality. I just think that there's a million things we don't understand yet. about
I think you're right, and it's going back in history, and in the Norse and Viking section of my book, I write about Hugin and Munin, who are in Norse mythology. Odin has ravens on either shoulder named Hugin and Munin. Every morning they fly around the world to see what's going on, the world of humans, and they come back and report to Odin. So a lot of observers will say, oh, they're Odin's spies, which, okay, I guess they are. But the ancient Norse, Hugin means thought, and Munin translates as memory. So we know that if you watch crows or ravens for any length of time, when the cardinals come to my backyard, they're hopping around, or the Carolina wrens, they'll pick up popcorn, and you can just tell they're acting on instinct. When the crows come, every time they light in the branches, they're debating, they're thinking. Yeah. Every writer I've read on crow, who's written on crows, has said some version of, they look like they're thinking all the time. And yes, they do. And the full squirrels, when I put out popcorn, the squirrels will just run and grab it. It's not because they're braver. It's because they're not as intelligent. The crows know, whoa, is this a trap? Is there something going on? So anyway, but the ancient Norse, they were observant, and they realized these birds seem to exhibit thought. And they also realized that they exhibit memory. So they named these two ravens thought and memory. So the ancient Norse realized that this Washington professor finally proved with his experiments using mask and the taxidermied corpse of a crow. Anyway, it's in the book. But so they realized that crows and ravens have thought and they have memory. And, that was from 12 or 1,500 years ago.
Right. And here they are connected to the old gods. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So the old gods is still around, very powerful energies. And there's a lot to be said there. I want to just share a comment from Chanel, who was talking to us before the show, that she said, when I got my raven tattooed on my chest, the artist was telling me about the story of Odin.
Yeah, it's those are two that's one of the most well-known raven tales. And it's interesting. When I was working on the book years back, a friend of mine had paid for me to have my DNA ancestry done through Ancestry.com. And it came back like I expected, Irish and Western European, which covers my French heritage. And then every year or so, they will send an update and they'll say, oh, our testing techniques have gotten more sophisticated. Here's your new profile.
Right.
Well, so I'm getting
still the same.
Yeah, and I'm studying, deeply for the first time all this Norse mythology, and I'm really connecting to it. It's like, wow,
this is great. Yeah.
And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I get this annual email from Ancestry. It said, here's your new DNA profile. And for the first time, I noticed about 5% there is Norse ancestry. So
gosh, there it is.
It was in my DNA.
It was.
And so I still wonder if the ravens had something to do with that. I don't know.
Sure they did. Again, there's so much wisdom about these birds. There's so much that we don't understand and we haven't been able to tap into, but it does remind me of another guest we've had on the show several times. Remember Dr. J?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
the basketball player?
No.
Oh, okay.
Dr. J,
Another one.
Another Dr. J. Okay.
That's right.
a basketball player. He's 6'9". But anyway, he had an event where he was with his family in one of the parks and way up in the mountain area, and he had a Bigfoot encounter.
Wow.
And it changed his whole life. And what he ended up doing was using the relational model to communicate with Bigfoot, and found this whole tribe. But it was, I think it's a Jane Goodall type of model where you just develop a relationship. So you're not there picking them apart or studying them. You're having a relationship with them, and that's how you come to know who they are, what they're about, and what they can do. And he's been able to write a number of books about his experiences. And I can tell you this, that the underground, our local and national and international shadow government is very interested in what he's been able to do. They have trespassed on his property. He has big parabolic microphones everywhere on his property.
Wow.
And one night they heard the FBI talking to each other on his property.
Remember that? Yeah.
Whoa.
But again, it's like they're coming at it from the same way they always do. They want to weaponize this. They want these creatures to work
Yeah.
for them. Meanwhile, here's Dr. J and his wife, lovely people, and they're just having a wonderful relationship with this tribe, and have gotten to know many secrets about them. And it's every time we have him on, it's a delight. And he plays some of the language that he's learned from them, and it is English. I mean, we heard it. He would say they're saying X, Y, and Z, and you hear it, and you're like, wow, they are speaking. They were talking about, I guess one of the FBI people hurt themselves, and they decided not to help them.
Wow.
Worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, but I think about crows, and it's like, who's other than the people who saved the injured ones? Are people doing something similar, like you are, having a relationship? I'm giving you food and I welcome you to my property, but then being open to more. I know you want more to happen. Certainly.
The ability to share is incredible.
The answer to that is yes. But I would love and hope and expect, my communion with them to go deeper, and and if that's the right word. But I must say, it's John Marsleff titled one of his books, The Gifts of the Crow, which is a play on that phenomenon where they will bring trinkets, and drop them to people, but also just the gifts of these beings that we share the planet with. My girlfriend, Michelle, she's a psychic intuitive. And when she comes over and pulls up in the house, she'll say, "Oh, the crows recognize me," and and because she's been over to my place enough, and so and when we go out together and come back, and we step out of the car and the caw, so they're watching, they are watching, and really. All I ask, in my book, I have a crow tarot spread that I developed. It's in my book. That started because I had this. I thought, wow, this is kind of cheesy that I'm creating a tarot spread that looks like a crow flying. I thought, anyway. So I said, I'll try it. And then when I got into it, it's like, and then I started working with it. It's like, wow, this really works. And I, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I just, the way that spread, the different cards, there's different relationships among the cards. It just worked. And
that's exciting.
Well, and another thing I do when I'm reading the cards is if a certain number of crows show up, I will use that to just determine how I shuffle the cards. So if I feel like I'm gonna do a tarot reading one day, if it's like, okay, I'm gonna do a tarot, and if 3 crows show up, then I will fill the spread using every third card. So that's just a way for me to draw in on whatever psychic, magical, or just even natural energy that I'm getting from the bird. So it's just a way to deepen that communion with these animals. Now, if a rationalist, pragmatist, scientist say, "Oh, that's just, what's up with that? There's nothing there." Well, I don't know. If you look at the mythology through the ages and some of the historical accounts, people have been having phenomenal, mysterious, incredible encounters with these creatures.
Yeah.
I guess I should mention in the book, when I started writing it, one of the first things I wanted to do was find out what's the earliest evidence of crows and human interaction.
Yes.
And it goes all the way back to the cave paintings in Lascaux, Lascaux, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in France. But there's this famous cave painting in Lascaux of a bird-headed human figure, and myself and so many other anthropologists believe it's a crow. And this is like 18,000 years ago, 19,000 years ago. And we don't know what's going on quite with that, but the image speaks for itself. Our ancient ancestors felt this connection. Now, it could have been another bird, but in all likelihood, again, it's like when I watch the ravens and ravens, when I watch the cardinals and wrens in my backyard, they're just, doing this. Every time crows come by, they're sitting there thinking, who
shall I get next?
So I'm convinced, and I'm not alone, that this Lascaux depicts some kind of shamanic experience that our ancestors had, and it involved crows or ravens. So this human connection goes back, and the world's oldest piece of epic literature. I'm drawing a blank now. Who is the the epic? I should know this. It's in my book. Anyway, it mentions a crow. It's just in passing, but the world's oldest piece of literature, a crow is a figure in there.
That's amazing.
So it's not just our modern sensibility. There's a long and detailed
history with it. Yes, ancient history. This has been so great having you here, Rick. Thank you.
It was delightful.
And the crows joined us too at the beginning of the show, letting us know.
Wasn't that delightful to have? I live near Baltimore, and there was quite a thing with Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven and such in that area. So it was always interesting and even more so, seeing what you had to offer where it's concerned.
Yeah.
It's been a delight reading your book.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all.
Now, can you put the book back up for us again? There it is. Beautiful book. Crows and Ravens, Mystery, Myth, and Magic of Sacred Corvids. Rick, thank you so much. We want to hear more about your ongoing relationship with them. I will keep you posted, and PK, I hope you will too, so that we'll be attempting to communicate with our crows in our area.
Definitely. I'll see if I could find those pictures on that trip back.
I would welcome that.
I'd be happy to send them off to you.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Thank you all for having me.
Yes, it's been
a delight.
So next week we'll be back, everybody, with another terrific show as usual. And until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.